Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here, and I've decided from here on out the Ketchup reviews are going to be every 2 months instead of every month like last year. I feel like this is just a better way to go because it leaves enough space in between each one for more varied uploads, and it allows me to cover more movies each time. With that being said, I do want to try making them more rapid fire just because I have so much to cover in so little time. So with that said, here's my latest Ketchup review covering all the movies I saw in April and May. Air is directed by Ben Affleck, who also stars along Matt Damon and details Nike's unlikely partnership with the then unknown Michael Jordan and the launch of a new shoe line that would change the company forever. This movie was decent. I'm not a big sports guy or a big sneakerhead, but I don't think you really need to be to enjoy this movie. I think it's a fascinating story. The actors were all really good for their roles. It felt weirdly nostalgic for some reason. It's not the most amazing movie in the world, but it was a fun time. 3.5 out of 5. Mafia Mama, or as it's been referred to as Wine Mom the Movie, stars Toni Collette as an exhausted housewife who comes into possession of her father's role as an Italian mob boss, and hijinks ensue. This is one of those movies where you kind of get what you pay for. It's not a particularly deep movie, but if you're just looking to turn your brain off and sit through a dumb action comedy, this one is harmless. 3 out of 5. The Super Mario Bros. Movie is a film you've probably heard talked about ad nauseum, plus the Jubilife Terminal guys should be doing their episode on it any day now, so I'll save my thoughts for there. But short version, it was a really good movie. It blows the 93 film out of the water. It's not the deepest movie ever made, but I don't think it really needed to be. You've probably seen it by now. It's the second highest grossing animated movie of all time, but if you haven't checked it out, definitely do so. 4 out of 5. Paint is a movie that went to theaters for some reason. This stars Owen Wilson as a wish Bob Ross, who is a scummy, self-obsessed artist trying to paint his life back together. This movie was actively pissing me off. It wasn't very funny, it felt kind of long, pretty much every character was thoroughly unlikable. It was so cheap looking, it felt like something that belongs on Apple TV. If you liked it, great, it just didn't do it for me. 2.5 out of 5. Renfield is directed by Chris McKay and is about the servant of Dracula trying to stop him from taking over the world, as well as gaining a sense of self-worth and confidence. Right when I saw Nick Cage's Dracula in the trailer, I was hyped for this movie, and it did not disappoint. It's just the right amount of goofy, gory fun that I was looking for in a movie like this. The action was fun, the effects were hilariously cheesy, the cast all does great, and it's the first time I wasn't annoyed by Awkwafina in a movie. That's awesome. I hope she keeps up this streak. Never mind. I can definitely see this becoming a Halloween classic, so check this out if you haven't. 4 out of 5. How to Blow Up a Pipeline is a thriller by Daniel Goldhaber about a group of environmental activists who embark on a mission to sabotage an oil pipeline. This is one of those weird, conflicting cases where I'm not sure how to go about recommending this movie. I think it's really well made. It builds the tension very well. It develops all the characters and their motivations really well. And I think as a movie, it's really good. But its messages and values could get people killed. The movie openly tries to get you to sympathize with domestic terrorists, and it's not one of those things where they show both sides. It actively portrays them as the heroes throughout the movie. And while obviously I'm all for saving the environment, I feel like pushing such an extreme is a little dicey. I guess if you don't take the movie's morals at face value and just look at it as an average suspense thriller, then I'd say check it out. 3.5 out of 5. Evil Dead Rise is directed by Lee Cronin, and it's an Evil Dead movie. That's kind of all I have to say. Have you seen an Evil Dead movie? Did you like an Evil Dead movie? Then you will like this movie. It's clear that Cronin was a huge fan of the original just based on the visuals alone. The cinematography and VFX have that Sam Raimi flair that just looks great. The blood and gore are over the top and gruesome as always. There are some genuinely creepy elements to it. The cast does a good job. The setting of a dilapidated apartment is a creative change of pace from a cabin in the woods. It's overall a pretty awesome time. 4 out of 5. Beau is Afraid stars Joaquin Phoenix and fills in the artsy oh fuck oh shit movie quota of 2023. This is a film I've heard very mixed opinions on, and all of them are kinda right. The story is engaging, the portrayal of things like anxiety and stress through this lens is really effective. It's very trippy and cerebral, and Joaquin Phoenix does a great job. But at the same time, it drags out for longer than it probably needs to. It bounces back and forth between anxiety to just plain confusing several times. I feel like it got so caught up in offering up a bunch of trippy, stress-inducing sequences that some of the story themes were kinda half-baked. See, this is what I mean. It's so hard to get a clear, objective opinion on this movie because they're all kind of valid. It's kind of one of those that you have to see in order to decide whether you like it or not. Me personally, I think the great elements outweigh the less than great elements. And if for nothing else, it was the most stunned and confused I've ever left a movie. 4.5, although this may change with time, I don't know yet. Chevalier, the untold true story of the illegitimate son of a slave and plantation owner turned celebrated composer turned revolutionary. Much like Mafia Mama, this is a movie where you pretty much know what you're getting from the trailer. Hell, most of the movie is in the trailer. As it was fine. The music was nice, the production design was well done, the lead actor was really good. It's just nothing to write home about. 3.5 out of 5. Peter Pan and Wendy. It's like Peter Pan, but worse. This is a very in one ear, out the other type of movie. It's very bland, forgettable, and just seems like another check off Disney's list of animated classics to ruin. The actors, with the exception of maybe Jude Law, are all flat, the visuals are lifeless, the effects look bad by early 2000s standards, and the story completely misses the point of the themes and ideas of the original Peter Pan. The nicest thing I can say about this movie is at least it's short. Other than that, I'd say skip it. 2.5 out of 5. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is based off the Judy Blume book of the same name and was a movie I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. I surprisingly found myself really charmed and emotionally invested in the story and characters. I know that this movie is made with a specific target audience in mind, but even if you're not in that target audience, you'll be surprised at how much you end up identifying with the issues tackled in this movie. Maybe not all of them and maybe not in exactly the same way, but they're in there. It's funny, charming, heartfelt, and it has a standout performance by Abby Ryder-Fortson. Definitely check this out if you haven't already. 4 out of 5. Sisu is directed by Helmari Helander and is John Wick, but with Nazis. What else needs to be said? It's a John Wick style revenge movie, but with Nazis, and it's a fucking blast. It is not afraid to be cartoony and over the top, and I respect the hell out of that. 4.5, check this one out. Big George Foreman, The Miraculous Story of the... oh, fuck off. Whoever approved that title needs to be examined alongside whoever gave the okay for the Birds of Prey's original title. This is another movie that shows most of it in the trailer, but even beyond that, it's your typical sports biopic. Everything you think will happen pretty much happens. The movie's biggest weakness is its pacing. It chooses to cover a lot of ground, and in turn, it jumps around a lot, neglecting a lot of potentially interesting details about Foreman's life. I think the funniest part for me was how off all the lookalikes were. Like, would you have guessed that this is supposed to be Muhammad Ali if I didn't tell you? This movie was fine. 3 out of 5. Polite Society is directed by Nida Manzoor and is about an aspiring stunt woman trying to stop a wedding between her struggling artist sister and a handsome rich man who is definitely hiding something. This movie was right up my alley. Combining an over-the-top British sense of humor with a Scott Pilgrim style of tone and action, I was almost always going to enjoy this movie. The lead actress is entertaining, the action and visuals are cool, the story is pretty by the numbers, but takes a turn I was definitely not expecting. It's a fun time at the theater. 3.5 out of 5. Fast X is the 10th movie in the Fast and Furious franchise and marks the first part in a supposed 3-part finale for this family. It is the single dumbest movie I've seen all year, and I can't wait for the next ones to come out. I feel like this series has gotten so big and introduced so many characters and side stories that it doesn't really know what to do with them all. A lot of times it would cut back to Michelle Rodriguez's character and I'd be like, oh yeah, she's in this. This is a very mediocre and muddled movie that is elevated tremendously by whatever Saturday morning cartoon villain Jason Momoa is playing. He is absolutely hysterical in this movie, and I'd recommend seeing it just for him. I hate to admit it, but this movie kind of got me. This series has become my new guilty pleasure. I really want to revisit the previous movies, if for nothing else, just to see how we went from an innocent street racing heist movie to fucking Avengers. 3 out of 5, check it out if you want. And finally, The Machine is the new action comedy starring Brett Kreischer and is based on his stand-up story about getting involved with the Russian mafia. I think I've only seen one stand-up special of this guy, and I remember him being pretty funny, but I don't think you have to be a fan of this guy or have seen this story to enjoy the movie. The story definitely adds more context, but without it, you could view this as a self-aware celebrity action vehicle indicative of massive talent. It's a pretty standard story of comedian playing themselves gets dragged into larger-than-life plot and hijinks ensue. But it has enough action and humor, and the main lead is enough of a lovable doofus that you'll probably enjoy it. Not great, not bad, 3 out of 5. And that does it for this Ketchup review. Let me know down in the comments what you've been watching, check out my reviews of Little Mermaid and Clone High Season 1, and look forward to more videos coming soon.